7 ways I improve my speaking skills. In this video, we're going to cover 7 ways I improve my speaking skills, exactly what it says on the tin. This is going to be a long video, so respect to you for clicking on this video, even though it might have said 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or however long this video is. Respect to you for clicking on it because you're investing in your education. There's going to be a whole load of useful tips for you that are going to help you throughout your life, really. So just before we get into it, let me introduce myself. Why am I qualified to talk about speaking skills? Okay, so my name's Owen, and this picture of the left here, this is actually my Tinder profile. It's no, it's not. Okay, I don't have that. Okay, but that's a joke. By the way, I don't even know what this picture is. This is a picture I always show people when I meet them for the first time. I'm like, hey guys, this is me. I don't know. I think I was 14 or something. I don't know, right? My name's Owen, and let me just explain where my speaking skills and my communication used to be. So it would have been, I want to say year 10. I could be wrong here. It was either the start of year 10 or the start of year 11. Potentially the start of year 10. Start of year 10 maybe makes more sense. I think it was the start of year 10. There was this one week which I knew was going to be the scariest week of my year, of my whole year. So let's just say it was year 10. I'm pretty sure it was year 10. Whole year 10. Okay, I know I'm going to have mock exams that are going to work out my predicted grade. It wasn't those. That wasn't the scary week. I was going to have music exams where I was going to have to pass it effectively and perform in front of people, and my parents had spent £50-60 on a music exam, and if I failed it, the money's been wasted. So no, it wasn't that. Even though those were nerve-wracking, that wasn't the scariest week. The scariest week, which basically had me up at night and I was worrying about it the weeks in advance, I was really worried, I was terrified, was the week when I was going to do my English speaking presentation. Now, a lot of you guys are going to know this. A lot of you guys will have already done this, which is basically for your GCSE English language, there's another component you have to do on top of the exam papers you have to do. You have to do a speaking presentation, which is essentially roughly it's a 5-minute presentation or something, which you have to do. And I was terrified of it. I thought this was going to be the worst, the week building up to it was what I thought was going to be the worst week of the year, essentially. And this speaking presentation was literally going and doing a presentation in front of your teacher and 5 other people. And it terrified me. I was absolutely I was so scared of public speaking and speaking in front of people. And that's where I used to be in terms of my speaking skills. I'll give you one more story. There was a time when I wanted to get a part-time job. So I wanted to get this part-time job at this restaurant, and they had this piece of paper in the window which said, call this number if you want a job here. Cool, okay. I wanted to go call this number. I cannot tell you how terrified I was of calling this number and speaking to a real person. I was terrified. I was shaking, right? I call the phone, 1 ring, nothing happens. 2nd ring, nothing happens. 3rd ring, where I'm expecting them, okay, they're going to pick up at this point. I'm scared. What do I even say? 3rd ring, nothing goes. 4th ring, whatever. 5th ring, no. Okay, no one picked up. And in some way, I'm kind of happy because no one picked up, so I don't have to speak. I don't have to say anything. But then it goes to voicemail. It goes to, hello, this is the whatever voicemail. Please leave a message. and I was so scared. I didn't know what to say. I just started talking, saying hi, yeah, my name's this. I gave up my full government name. I remember this in particular when all I wanted to say in my mind was just hi, yes, my name's Owen. I'm just calling. If I was calling now, for example, I'd just be hi, yeah, my name's Owen. So I saw the vacancy in your window and was interested in applying. Just wondering if you'd be able to call me back on this number, and then hopefully we can get in touch soon. If I was calling them now, that's what I'd say. But I was so scared. I gave them my full government name, first name, middle name, and surname because I was so nervous. And I tried to leave that message basically saying I was interested in the job, and they never called me back. They never called me back from the voicemail. And for a long time, I just assumed it was because my communication skills, my speaking had been so, which it had been so bad that they just didn't even want me at all. I actually worked out later when I started playing around with voicemails, because people would give me voicemails and I'd never really used voicemail before. I worked out that a lot of the time you can't call someone straight back from a voicemail. It sometimes doesn't leave their number. So I realised it's because I hadn't left my number. So the reason they never called me back, it was just because I'd been so nervous I forgot to leave my number to get them to call me back. So maybe they did want me, but they could never call me back. So I was so nervous I couldn't leave my number. But essentially those are 2 stories that just show where I was in terms of communication and speaking skills. Okay, terrified of doing a presentation to 5 of my classmates and a teacher, and then terrified of leaving a voicemail to some random restaurant where I could have got a job. That's where I used to be. And since then, I've made a lot of improvements in terms of my speaking skills. Like I've definitely made ground. So for example, I've got the certificates right here. So I did Lambda, which is like a public speaking award distinction. That one's grade 8, distinction grade 6, distinction grade 6, distinction grade 8. Okay. I also, at the end of like, I don't know, year 13 or something, I got awarded like my school's like public speaking award because of the stuff I'd been doing. I'd been doing talks to like 300 people about degree apprenticeships, for example. Okay, and then also September 2023, I started off this YouTube channel. Okay, so I sort of made that progress on my speaking, and I basically got to a point where, okay, I'll start a YouTube channel. Okay, cool. You should go and watch some of these YouTube videos I did at the start. They are so bad. Like if you go on my channel and click the oldest button and then you like look at some of these videos, maybe some of these are where you first found my channel. For example, like this CV video, a lot of people found my channel from this video. They are so bad, right? I literally could not speak to a camera at all. It's like I don't know, I do like, for example, if I wanted to film like a 10-minute video, it would be like 45 minutes of footage, because I would mess up so many times, or I'd stumble my words, or I'd forget what I'm saying, or it would just, I'd mess up, I'd sound all like that. There was basically, so if I filmed 45 minutes of footage, I'd get 10 minutes of final content from it. So what's that as a percentage? That's like 22.5%, something like that, right? 22% of my footage was usable. And that's where I used to be. Like, it was so, these videos are so awkward to watch because I could barely speak, right? But then since then, even in this, how long has it been now? 15 months? Those 15 months since I started first doing those YouTube videos, my speaking skills have increased massively. Okay. So for example, it's like I now film like 1 hour, like 30 videos on like full guides on stuff. And it's basically using 100% of the content. Like I don't cut out bits from this. Like, for example, if I suddenly fall over, then I'll probably cut that out, right? But I don't cut out stuff now. So it's like 100%. So I went from like 22% of my speaking was good enough for camera. Now it's like 100% is decent. It's not bad. I can do like these 1 hour and a half sort of videos, like go on calls with people. Obviously, the YouTube channel, it's massively grown, and that's helped my speaking skills increase, meeting people in real life. I now like host group calls. Actually, right now this year, I have like 25, 30 students who I'm personally helping one-to-one get degree apprenticeships, and yeah, that requires doing group calls and all that sort of thing. And yeah, I've helped people, coach people, and all this has just required a lot of communication skills, helping people get into these degree apprenticeships, making these YouTube videos. Basically, my speaking skills are way better than they used to be. I mean, feel free to disagree. Maybe if you've all clicked off the video and this guy can barely speak English, okay, fair enough, right? But I just wanted to give this background just so you guys understand how I'm qualified, or if you should listen to me. Like if I can't speak English, then it's like, okay, fine, don't listen to me. But I've made really good progress. So if you struggle with speaking skills, your communication isn't the best, have a think about those two stories. I used to be scared of 5 people, then scared of a voicemail. And now I can jump on calls with random people, like help people with their interviews, other people help them with their communication, and film these like sort of hour and a half long guides. Okay, that's a bit of background about myself. So let's get into it now. Now that we've sort of covered my background and why I'm qualified and why you should listen to me, let's go into why are speaking skills important, okay? Particularly for the degree apprenticeship application process. Obviously, on my channel, I help people get into degree apprenticeships in the UK, okay? So that's what I'm going to focus on here. Why are speaking skills important? There's 2 reasons, okay? Number 1, it's going to be needed through the application process. If you don't have good speaking skills, sorry to tell you, you're not going to get a job, okay? Because the application process requires you to have speaking skills, whether that's interviews, presentations, group exercises. Companies like JP Morgan do networking events. If you're not very good at speaking, it's such a fundamental skill. If you can't do it, you're not going to get through the application process, okay? Because you need it. You need to be able to communicate in these parts of the application process. That's number 1. Reason number 2 is also they are actually looking for people with speaking skills. So on top of the fact that obviously you need speaking skills to actually even do the application process, they're actually looking for people with speaking skills as well, like communication skills, speaking skills, presentation skills. These are key things that these employers are looking for, because just to do the job, you're going to need this. Okay, it's like team meetings. Okay, talking to other team members, talking to clients, doing presentations. Like in the workplace, you're going to have to talk to random people, pick up random calls, do random presentations, do random meetings. You need to have good speaking skills. You need to have good presentation skills. Okay, so that's 2 reasons why it's really important to have speaking skills if you want to get into one of these degree apprenticeships. Okay, now, there's 2 types of communication which we're going to cover in today's video. Okay, monologue and conversational. Okay, so monologue, I'll just define them for you now, because then when I refer to them later in the video, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. So monologue communication is effectively communication where it's just you you're just saying things, you're just talking. Okay, so for example, Me filming this YouTube video, that's monologue conversation, because it's just me monologue. That comes from mono, which means one, and then I'm guessing logos, which is Greek for word. So it basically means one word or one person. Okay, I'm guessing what the etymology is there. So it's just one person speaking. So that's me doing a YouTube video. That's doing an interview answer, because it's not really a conversation. It's sort of, they ask you a question, then you give your monologue answer. It's delivering a presentation. That's a monologue. Okay, so that's a lot of stuff where you're speaking for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes at a time, an hour at a time, whatever, doing a speech. That's all monologue. Okay, and then conversational. Conversational is when you're engaging with someone else in a conversation. So it's pretty simple. Monologue is just doing something on your own, like a YouTube video, a podcast, or answering an interview question. Conversational is when you're in a conversation with someone, whether that's at a networking event, whether that's with your friend, whether that's with your teacher, whatever. Okay, conversational. So today's video, a lot of the 7 steps I'm going to go through, they're going to be relevant to both ones there, monologue and conversational. Okay, and that's going to be useful because you need both of them. So monologue you're going to need for interviews, presentations. Conversational you're going to need for things like group exercises, for things like particularly networking events. Most of it's monologue, but you will need conversational for networking events. Most of the 7 steps are going to cover both of these. Some of them are going to cover just conversational. If they cover just conversational, I'm just going to put that star there just to let you know, like those ones specifically, you can't really use in a speech setting or a YouTube setting or a podcast setting, or necessarily when you're answering an interview question, but you definitely can in like a conversational networking event situation. Okay, so look out for that star. Those will be conversational ones. Okay. Final prerequisite before we actually get into the 7. I know it's taken us a while, but there's a lot of things I just want to clarify first. And the first one is some fundamental beliefs. Okay. Anyone can do anything. No matter what your communication skills, your speaking skills level is right now, I have the belief that anyone can do anything. Okay? It's not a case of, oh, I'm just not good at speaking. It's like when people say, oh, I'm not very good at remembering names. It's like, okay, is that something in your genetics? Like that's a thing you've heard, right? People say, oh, I'm not good with names, right? Okay. Is that something in your genetics where you've got a piece of DNA which says person X isn't good with names? No, it's not. It's just you don't bother to learn people's names. It's like anyone can do anything, just put in the effort. So no matter where your communication or speaking skills are right now, you can develop the speaking skills of anyone else. You can develop the speaking skills of me. You can develop the speaking skills of some actual like public speaker people, right? You can develop the speaking skills of anyone, right? You just have to do the right things, practice, all that sort of thing. Because that's number one. No matter where you're at, you can improve and get to the level you want to as long as you're prepared to put the work in. Number 2 is no one cares about you. Okay, why am I saying that? Sounds a bit rude. No, so one of the biggest fears for me, and one of the biggest fears for public speaking in particular, and just speaking, is what other people think about you. That's what it was for me anyway. Okay, is like, what happens if you mess up, or you say something stupid, or you stutter, or you miss a word, or you fall over on stage, all this sort of stuff. Everyone's going to laugh at you and think you're an idiot. Okay, that's the fear I had. So I can essentially give you a story just to explain this one. So would have been in year 11. I had a music exam coming up, and the music exam was in like a couple of months. Yeah, it was in a couple of months. And when I'm doing music exams, I sort of did them like a term earlier than I needed to. Like say realistically I needed until December to practice. I would probably end up just taking the exam in July. So it'd be, because it's like, otherwise I'm just wasting another 3 months. So I'll do it in July, but it'll be a bit dodgy. It'll be like I'll just about make it sort of thing. So basically this was a couple of months before I was even ready for the exam. There was this piece, I could barely play it at all. Could barely play the piece. Like literally, like it was bad. Like not even, but if I say I can barely play it, doesn't do it justice. I could not play the piece. My teacher puts me in to say, okay, Owen's going to do a solo in assembly in front of the whole of year 11. So it's me in year 11. I have to play the solo on the trumpet of this piece, which I can't play. Okay, in front of the whole of year 11. I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified because I knew what was going to happen. I was going to go in, play the trumpet, completely mess it up, do really badly. Everyone was going to laugh at me for the rest of the year. Whenever I walked in the room, people's heads would turn at me. They'd look at me. And they'd be like, oh, and that's the guy who can't play trumpet. That's the guy who literally can't do anything. Okay, that's what I thought was going to happen. The rest of the year, I was going to get this reputation of this absolute nut job, right? that probably wasn't the word I was looking for. But this guy who just he's terrible, right? So I did this solo. Okay, I could have pulled out, but I was like, okay, I'll just do it. So I did it. It went really badly. I was so embarrassed. Like the moment the piece finished, like I was so embarrassed. I just sat down. Like it was so bad. Yeah, I just wanted to disappear. Like the rest of the assembly, I just wanted to disappear. I was like, no, okay. I go to my next lesson after this assembly. The next lesson's English, and I'm just ready for, right, I'm going to enter this. I'm going to walk, because I was a bit late, okay, because after the assembly, everyone had gone straight to the lessons. They'd gone straight to English. I had to pick up I had to get my trumpet, my musical instrument, and I had to go put it away. So I had to go sort of put it in the storage area, okay. So everyone went straight to class. I had to go put it in the storage area and then go to class. So I was a bit late. So I was going to be like the last person in the room sort of thing. As I'm walking towards the door, I'm just thinking, the moment I open this door, they're going to point, someone's going to point at the door, start laughing, and I'm going to have to walk to the seat while everyone's looking at me and everyone's laughing. Okay. I get to the door, I open the door, and no one does anything. They're just talking. And I just go in and sit down and just continue with the lesson. And not a single person actually mentioned that trumpet solo to me again. I was like so confused because I thought everyone was going to be like saying how bad it was. I literally started asking people like, did you hear how bad that thing was? And they were like, no, it was fine. Like they'd forgotten it even. They were like, oh yeah, no, I thought it was fine. Number one, they'd forgotten about it. Number two, they thought it was fine. They didn't care. Okay, and this lesson taught me that no one cares about you, and not in like a horrible like no one cares about you, no one loves you sort of way, but in a way like if you go, it's called the spotlight effect. If you go and mess something up, whether that's public speaking, okay, you think everyone's going to, like you've now got a reputation, everyone's going to laugh at you, everyone's going to judge you. Honestly, no one cares. Honestly, no one cares. People have better things to do in their lives, okay? People have their friends, people like, okay, I'm going to, one thing for me is like, okay, people were going to go home and when they were lying in bed, they were going to think about how bad I was. No, they're not. No one cares about you. People have better things in their life. They have Netflix, they have this, they have video games, they have whatever, they have gym. They are not thinking about you. No one thinks about you at any point in the day. Okay, and I mean this in a good way. Again, I'm not trying to say like no one loves you sort of thing, but it's like I'm specifically referring to when you mess something up. Okay, you slipped over on stage. Okay, you slipped over playing football. Okay, you messed up some solo. You messed up some public speaking thing. You forgot your lines in public speaking and you sort of got a bit lost. After 5 minutes, every single person forgets it. No one cares. They have better things to do in their life. Just like, say, for example, you get on a coaching call with me and you deliver, like, say you mess up really bad in an interview and you think it's really embarrassing. I'm not sitting here at like 10 p.m. thinking about, oh yeah, George probably messed that up, bro. He's an idiot. No, I don't care. Right? It's like in the coaching call, I'll help you how to avoid that in future, and then it's purged from my mind. Trust me, when it gets time to sleep, I'm just going to sleep. I'm not worrying about someone messing up and doing some embarrassing thing. Like no one cares. Okay, so I just wanted to cover that at the start because that's like a limiting belief or a belief that people have is that everyone really cares about them. You're going to have this really bad reputation. I honestly think that's one of the biggest fears of public speaking. I think that's why people are scared. They're scared of messing up and everyone thinking badly about them because of it. Truth is, no one cares. No one cares enough to think badly about it. It's like I could film this video and I could do something stupid and whatever, right? Like I could say something stupid. And it's like, okay, I could get really self-conscious and embarrassed about that. But it's like, okay, even if you watch the video and I say something stupid, it's like, are you still thinking about me like in 6 hours' time when you go to sleep? No, you don't care. Okay, yeah, sure, it'd be kind of funny if I say something stupid, right, for 5 seconds and then it's purged from your mind. No one cares. It's the same thing with public speaking. Okay, so those are the beliefs there. Now, let's get into the 7 ways to improve your speaking skills. Let me just have a drink and then we'll continue. First one is practice. Okay, I'm starting off with a boring one, because yeah, practice. Everyone knows that, right? But let me just explain what that means. We're going to go into some like specific tactics that are kind of cute and actionable that you can do later. But the first one is bog standard. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say, oh, okay, you can like do this one little thing, watch this one video, and do this little tactic, and suddenly you're a master speaker. It's like doing this will get you 80% of the results. Just practicing will get you 80% of the results. Okay, let me explain what I mean by practice. So I knew that I was going to take on students as part of a coaching program to help them get into degree apprenticeships. Okay, I'm pretty long term when I think about things. Okay, like I know what's going to happen for the next 5 years, for example, right? So over the past like 12 months, I've known, okay, for September 2025, I'm going to take on students. I'm going to start it in about September, October, November 2024, something like that. And I'm going to help people throughout that 12 months get to a degree apprenticeship. They're going to start that in September 2025. I knew that, okay? Now, doing this coaching, it involves me jumping on calls with people. So I jump on one-on-one calls with people, with my students, and I help them with mock interviews or anything else they need. Okay, maybe they need help with their CV. Okay, or we do group calls as well. So we'll have a group call, ask questions, do interviews, presentations, that sort of thing. So like the 25, 30 students I have, that's what we do. Jump on calls all the time. Okay, so it was getting to around August time. Okay, I was going to start this in September, October. I was going to start my coaching program as a coach, as a sort of mentor. It got to August and I was thinking about the prospect of, okay, in about 30 days time, I'm going to launch this coaching program and I'm going to have to get onto calls with people. And I'll be honest, I was kind of scared because I was a bit out of practice with jumping on calls with people, like sort of random people who I'd never met before, jumping on a call with them. I'll be honest, I was kind of scared, a bit nervous. Okay. And I was like, okay, that's going to happen in a month. I'm kind of nervous. So here's what I did. Okay. Remember, September, the calls start. I'm currently in August. I'm a bit scared. Here's what I did. I put up this tweet here. Free 30-minute strategy call with me. Okay. Whatever. 7 sessions available in total. Okay. And it's basically a one-on-one call where we're going to discuss some things and I'll also help you out as well. Okay. Strategy call, free for 7 people. This was a post I made effectively like within 24 hours after I realized that I was properly scared. Right. Like I was properly scared. Like when I was really thinking about it, I made this tweet and I booked 7 calls. That's the essence of what I mean by practice, which is when you're scared to do something, then just go and do the practice. That's the exact reason you need to go and do the practice. I was scared of jumping on calls with people. Therefore, I put out a tweet to do 7 calls with people for free. And then after I'd done those 7 calls with people, I was now much more confident at speaking, which meant by the time I launched my coaching program at the sort of end of September, I was absolutely fine with the calls because I'd done these 7 ones as practice. Okay, I sort of threw myself in the deep. I was scared of doing calls, so I went and did 7 calls. That's what you need to do. Just any opportunities you get to speak, use them, practice, okay? Accept opportunities. If you get an opportunity to deliver a presentation or maybe speak in assembly, go and accept it. Like, don't even just accept opportunities. See if you can get opportunities. See if you can get an opportunity to speak in assembly. That was another one. I was asked back in like year 12, must have been. I was asked to speak in assembly in like whole school in front of like everyone, like 700 people, sort of thing, 700, 800, 900, whatever. I don't know, right? I was scared, but did I say no? No, I just went and did it. Like I was super nervous. Like literally I was thinking of pulling out beforehand when I was sort of waiting outside the assembly. I was like, bro, I'm super scared. And this was like, I was actually doing a 1-minute presentation. Like it wasn't even a presentation, it was an announcement. I had to do a 1-minute announcement in front of everyone and I was scared. Did I pull out? No, I did it anyway. So that's what I want you to do. If you have a fear of public speaking or you're scared of speaking and you're not confident, that sort of thing, go and accept those opportunities, especially when you're scared of it. Okay, do those opportunities because that's when you go practice, and when you practice, you become better. Okay, go and speak to people in real life. If you're not good at conversational skills, you're not good at small talk, that's the exact reason why you need to go and speak to people in real life. So it's like, okay, when you're on the train, can you make a short conversation, a bit of small talk with the person you buy the ticket from or the conductor? Right, or someone at a restaurant, or someone at like the gym or something, right? Go up and speak to people, and when you're doing that practice, you're going to get better. Okay, because unfortunately, speaking skills isn't a thing where you can watch enough videos and you're suddenly going to become good at speaking. It's like you can watch videos and watch this video because it's going to give you a really good foundation, you're going to learn a lot of knowledge, but you then have to go and implement it. And then a third one, which I think is really good, is film YouTube videos, okay, or private debrief videos. This is probably like I don't want to say number because these ones are all good. These ones are all good, but this is really, really, really good, and I don't see people saying this sort of thing. Okay. When I knew I was going to start this YouTube channel I knew I was going to start it in September 2023. So from about June 2023, I knew, okay, 3 months time I'm going to start it. Okay. And I know it's difficult to speak on camera. Okay, so throughout June, July, and August, what I did was every now and then I filmed a debrief video. So basically a debrief video, what that was is like getting my phone, right? And then I'd get my phone and I'd sort of like put it up and I'd film myself. I'd film myself for 10 or 15 minutes, basically doing a debrief video. And what I mean by debrief video is I'll just explain what I've been doing, what's been working, what I've been up to, what my plans are, Sort of like a diary sort of thing, like the kind of thing someone would like. No one's writing diaries, right? But the kind of thing you might write in a diary, but do it on video. And what it meant was, it made me a tiny bit better when I first launched my first YouTube video in September. Now, was I amazing at speaking? Absolutely not. Like, as I mentioned earlier in the video, like my first one's so cringe to look at, but it would have been even more cringe, even more bad, even worse if I hadn't filmed those debrief videos. Okay, I was on a call with someone who's like a YouTuber. He's from like Spain or something, and he was basically asking me, "Oh, and how do you get to sort of the speaking skills you're at right now? What do you recommend I do to improve my speaking skills?" And I was like, number one is like, just film more YouTube videos because you'll get better at it. Like the more YouTube videos you do, the better you're going to get speaking. And then he was like, I could do that, but I don't want to reduce quality. Like at the moment, I'm doing 2 videos a week. I don't want to do 7 videos a week, for example, because I just don't think the quality will be there and the audience won't like it. I was like, fair enough. That's a good point. Okay. What you can do instead is every single day, do a debrief video. Okay. Film yourself. You don't have to post it. Okay. But just talk to your phone for 10 minutes. And that's going to massively improve your speaking skills. Okay, so that's what I told him as the YouTuber there, and obviously he relies a lot on speaking in order to make good YouTube videos. It's the same with you guys who, as I said earlier, degree apprenticeship, you need good speaking skills. Go and film these private debrief videos. Make it a habit. Maybe once a week, you allocate a time where you're going to get your phone and you're going to speak for 10 minutes into your phone. You're just going to debrief what's happened in the week, what's gone well, what's gone badly, what could you improve upon, what are you going to do next week, what's your plan. And this is going to help on other things as well. It's going to help with accountability because you're like keeping yourself accountable because you're like reviewing your week, you're planning out things. So it's going to help with accountability, but it's also going to help with those speaking skills. Because now if you're speaking into a camera every single week, it's like you're going to get better at speaking into a camera, which means you're going to get better at speaking. Okay? So that's a really good one. Film those private debrief videos. Don't have to share them. Don't have to post them. Just leave them on your phone. And it'll also be a kind of cool thing to look at. Because in like 2 years' time, after you've done a debrief video every single week, your speaking's going to be so much better. And it means you can like look at your latest debrief video in 2 years' time and then go back to your very first one and see the difference. It's like my YouTube channel is sort of a bit of a time capsule of myself as a person, because I can like go to my first ever video and be like, oh, okay, that's like what I was like in speaking. Then I can go like halfway through and I was like, oh, okay, so I've improved a bit. And then I can come to like now and like, okay, I've improved much more. Right, and then I'm going to be able to in 1 year and 2 years do it, and I'll have improved even more. Right, so debrief videos, I'd strongly recommend doing that. Practice. I know it's boring. I know this is not the little quick TikTok-y top 5 ways, whatever. Like this one's not fun, but it's effective. So that's why I include it first. Number 2, read How to Win Friends and Influence People. I've put a star on this one because this is mainly for conversational. Okay, if you're not good at small talk, you're not good at conversations, read this book. It will change your life. Okay, like this book will completely change your life. This one I ordered. I'm trying to find the book. I can't find it anywhere in my house. Like I just can't find it anywhere. But like I have books absolutely everywhere, so it could be anywhere. But this book I ordered, you can see here, 23rd of July 2023. I started my degree apprenticeship on September 2023. So I actually read this book twice before I started. Okay, and this is like some $5 or $6 it's like a suit. There's like a proper version of it, which I know is like £10 or £12. This one's like £6 or something. It's like the spelling mistakes everywhere. The publishing is shocking. It's tiny. It was super cheap. Like you get what you pay for, right? But I got this book. I read it twice before I started in September. Small talk and conversation is the easiest thing in the world. Easiest thing in the world. Trust me, this book exactly explains how to just be an amazing conversationalist and just you can have forever conversations with people. Honestly, get this book. It was written like I want to say like 150 years ago, right? Or maybe 100 years ago. It still stands up to this day. Just follow the principles from it. I read it twice before starting my degree apprenticeship. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Go and read it. Go and buy it. Go and read it. Okay. But also, let me just summarize the 3 key points. Now, I would recommend going and buying it because there's so much more in it. You're going to get more examples. You're going to learn more. But let me just give you 3 key points now. Okay. Number 1, smile and make eye contact when you're talking to people. Might seem obvious. A lot of people don't do this. Okay. So just make eye contact when you are talking to people. Okay. A lot of people just don't, and it's weird. And just smile. If you don't smile, people don't want to talk to you, right? Number 2, use people's names. People love their own names. So just use people's names as much as possible. Okay. Number 3, ask people questions. There it is. To be a good conversationalist and be good at small talk and all this sort of thing, it's not about you having things to say, really, honestly. It's not about, oh, what do I say in a conversation? It's like, you don't need to say anything. Just ask them questions about themselves. So whenever I need to small talk people, I'll just ask them about themselves, and they'll just go on for ages talking about themselves, and it's just easy. It's so easy to have a good, and then they think you're good at conversation. It's like, bro, I'm not good at conversation. I just asked you a question, and you rambled on your own for 2 minutes, and it's like, I'm chilling, bro. Just ask people, honestly, it's so easy. Just ask people what they did, ask them like what they like, bro. It's so easy, man, to have a good conversation when you just ask people questions. They love themselves, they love talking about themselves. It's so easy. But go and read that book. You'll understand more about it. But that's what you can do. And that's going to really help with conversational skills. That's going to help with things like networking and just having general conversations with people. Number 3 is your environment. Okay, so something I worked out a couple of 1 or 2 weeks ago. This like sort of thought came to my head about your environment. Okay, so I remember watching this video, man. So there's this YouTuber I used to watch back in the day called Optimus. He's a commentary YouTuber. I'm not really sure if commentary YouTube is still a thing, because I think now like TikTok's a thing. I don't know if commentary YouTubers died. It's basically where like a YouTuber, he'd put like he'd put video game gameplay. He'd put gameplay in the background, like of him playing some parkour game, or him playing Call of Duty, or him playing like Sim City or something. And then he'd talk about like topics, like sort of news, but like not like BBC News sort of let's just lie about political events sort of thing. No, more like social media news sort of things, like video games, social media influencers, little trends going on, all that sort of thing. That's what commentary YouTube was. So I used to watch Optimus, and after I watched him, after a couple of months, I noticed I'd picked up a lot of his what's the word I'm looking for? Mannerisms, that's the one. I'd picked up some of his mannerisms to do with speech. In particular, one of Optimus's speech mannerisms is after a lot of his sentences, he likes to say, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Do you get me? Do you know what I mean? Right? So it's like, there was then like a period of like 1 or 2 years where after every single one of my sentences, I was finishing it with, do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Do you get me? Yeah, do you know what I mean? Right? It's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it's like, that was just proof that through watching people, you pick up their mannerisms. When you watch them a lot, you pick up their mannerisms of, do you know what I mean? Or whatever. Okay? So that's what happened to me back in the day. I picked up those mannerisms. Now, I've noticed recently, over the past year or so, I've been watching a lot more long form sort of content. Podcasts, PBD podcasts. There's this guy called Jordan Peterson you may or may not have heard. I've been watching his podcasts, and also he's done lectures and stuff, which I've been watching. And I've picked up a lot of mannerisms from people like PBD, people like Jordan Peterson. So, for example, the way I formulate my points when I'm saying things now, I've picked up mannerisms from PBD and Jordan Peterson, which that's a lot how I speak. And that's just by watching them. I've just picked up on their mannerisms. And that's what this one is about, it's about your environment and who you're listening to. Okay, because if you're listening to TikTok, like brain rot stuff on the internet, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, just like stupid stuff, right? Of course your speaking skills are going to be a load of rubbish, because you're picking up like stupid mannerisms. Like, what is this, right? That's the kind of dumb stuff you're going to be saying. And it's like, probably not specifically, like you're not going to be saying that, but it's like the little mannerisms that these Twitch streamers and Instagram people and TikTok vloggers and stuff, right? You're going to pick up their mannerisms. Okay, compared to if, for example, you were watching like a podcaster. If you're watching a podcaster, you're going to pick up a podcaster's mannerism. So the question to ask yourself is, whose mannerisms do you want to pick up? Because this is a fact. This is like an absolute fact. If you consume content, if you listen to people, you are going to pick up their mannerisms. I'm not a psychologist. There's potentially some sort of psychology there that your brain's picking up things, but you're going to pick up those mannerisms. Okay? So make sure the content you watch is from high quality communicators. This is a really passive way to just improve your speaking skills. It's just by stop watching TikTok brain rot from random influencers sort of thing, but watch stuff from like full-length podcasters like Jordan Peterson, Chris Williamson, Diary of a CEO, Andrew Huberman. Those are just a couple, right? But like whatever you're interested in, whether it's fitness, business, health, whatever, go start watching a few podcasts of people, because just passively you'll just pick up their mannerisms and you'll become better at speaking just based on the way they speak, and you'll start to pick that up. So that's a good one there. Okay, sort of get rid of the negative influences in your life e.g. this, like sidemen and all that sort of stuff, who are like speaking and using slang and all this sort of stuff, and watch sort of my more high quality stuff. And then your speaking will you'll stop saying slang, you'll stop doing like weird mannerisms and saying dumb stuff like that. Okay, like when I'm doing mock interviews with people at the moment, a lot of people actually really struggle with speaking formally. Like a lot of people are quite colloquial and informal with the way they speak, and I get it. It's because everyone's grew up on watching Sidemen. Like, I understand it. Okay, fair enough. Me too, right? But it's like, when you're ready to level up your communication, like, you don't have to, like, I'm not forcing you to do anything, like, you don't have to do this, but when you're ready and willing and when you want to level up your communication, then you can take this next step and sort of remove those negative influences from the content you watch and bring in these positive influences, especially if, like, we're blessed to have these long form podcasts. Like, these obviously weren't a thing really like 10 years ago, but now they are. Like, you're blessed to be able to just listen to these long form podcasts and pick up their mannerisms and pick up their communication skills. Okay, your environment. One thing that used to make me, I don't know if nervous is the right word. Maybe nervous, maybe anxious, maybe let's just say anxious. I don't know. I don't know what the word is, right? But one thing I used to think about with and why I didn't really like conversations was because I didn't really know what to say, right? And I'd be worried about, I think worried is maybe the better word for it. I'd be worried about being in a conversation because I was worried about someone saying something and me not coming up with a response and not knowing what to say, because I'd just be like, if I don't know what to say, it's going to be so awkward. Like, what do I do? I don't want to have a conversation because I'm not going to know what to say. What do I say? Like, what do I say, right? That was something I used to be worried about. And then I understood this concept of be okay with silence. And then this is useful for both monologue and conversational, by the way. But we'll just start off with the conversational. Silence is absolutely okay. Okay, I'll be in a conversation with some people, I'll just be in a conversation, right, with a person, right, and they might ask me a question or talk to me, and I'll just be silent for like 10-20 seconds, because it's like sometimes someone says something and I genuinely don't know what to say. Like, I genuinely don't know what to, like, someone will say something and I genuinely have no response to that. And that's the kind of thing I used to worry about in the past. It's like, what if someone says something and I don't know what to say and I don't know what to, right? Sometimes someone says something and I genuinely don't know what to say. Maybe you've experienced this before. Like, you're in a conversation and you just don't have a response and like you have nothing in your mind to say. And that used to worry me. Now it doesn't, because of this concept. Be okay with silence. Silence is absolutely fine. I think a lot of us have this what's the word I'm looking for? I'm so close to it. Miss. I'm so close to it. I'm so, when this happens, when you've got a word and it's almost there. I don't know. I can't get it. It's like misdemeanor miscommunication, but it's not quite that. Limiting belief? No. Whatever. A lot of us have this misunderstanding. That's the one. Misunderstanding. A lot of us have this like misunderstanding that you have to be talking all the time and you can't be silent. That's not true. So in a conversation, it's fine to be silent. It's okay. Just get used to it, man. Okay, so it's like awkward silences. Not like an awkward silence where someone said something weird and it's just awkward. I mean awkward silences in like someone says something and you don't have anything to say and it's like completely silent between you in a conversation. And when it's completely silent between two people in a conversation, a lot of people feel that as really awkward. They're like, no one's saying anything. What do I do? What do I do? And they start panicking. If you're in a conversation with me, you might actually feel that because I'm okay with silence. So it means if there's a silence in a conversation where we don't say anything for a bit, I don't care. I'm fine with it. I'm okay with silence. It's you who's going to start panicking. Okay? So from a conversational perspective, be okay with silence. If you need to take time to think about something, take that time. 10, 20 seconds, whatever. Who cares? Okay, be okay with it. And also that's going to stop the fear. Like, another fear of conversations for me was like this thing of, okay, if I didn't have something to say, it'd be kind of awkward because we'd be sitting here in awkward silence, right? Awkward silence is fine. No one cares. It's okay. Okay, so that's it from a conversational perspective. Be okay with silence. You can just pause and think about things. Okay. This is important for another reason as well, especially in terms of monologue. Everyone says ums and ahs. Okay, I'll be honest. There's one person I'm thinking of in particular who, when I listen to her, it annoys me. Okay, because it's just ums and ahs all the time. She's doing a presentation, and it's like, come on. Like every single sentence. It's not one of my students, by the way. If one of my students is thinking, no, it's someone I know from work essentially. Every time she does a presentation or a meeting or whatever, there's just ums and ahs absolutely everywhere, and it kind of frustrates me because it's annoying. And that's the problem with if you're the kind of person who uses a lot of filler words, like you say and all the time, is it's annoying and it's not professional. And it's going to take away from your interview. If you have two people who are the exact same, they're saying the same things, they have the same experience on paper, same everything, right? The only difference is one of them says and all the time, the other one doesn't. The one who doesn't is going to get the job because they're more professional and they have better communication skills. And it's like, I'll be honest, if I'm talking to someone who's the same age as me, and you're saying and a lot, I kind of lose a bit of respect for you. Now, if it's someone who's like 16, 17, it's like, okay, fine, like, yeah, whatever. But it's like, if someone's the same age as me and you're still doing all this and stuff, it's like, I'm kind of losing a bit of respect for you, right? It's a bit brutal, but I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. So, how do you remove ums and ahs? Well, first of all, you need to understand where they come from. So, ums and ahs, when you're like saying, and all this stupid stuff, right? The reason that is because you're afraid of silence. So when you're trying to think of something to say, your brain is afraid of that silence, so it fills it in with a filler word. That's what and are. They're called filler words. What's your favorite food? So my favorite, and it's just that's what your brain's trying to do because it's afraid of silence. You need time to think, but it wants to fill the silence, so it makes you make a noise. Okay, it sounds kind of stupid. Ask that question to me, Owen. What's your favorite food? My favorite food's beef lasagna. Okay, right. And I'm not perfect, by the way. I'm definitely not perfect. I'm sure in this video I've and that sort of thing, but it's something I've made a massive improvement on. And it now gets to a point where you may even have noticed it in this video, and you might even find this annoying, to be honest, but during my videos, sometimes when I'm trying to articulate the phrases, because I try and be careful with my wording. I try and say what I mean and say it so the message comes across correctly. I try and get the wording and the sentences articulated as best possible. Sometimes I'm trying to work out the articulation. I'll pause for 5 or 10 seconds to articulate that word. If it happens again in this video, I'll point it out. But essentially it's where I'm pausing to find out that wording. Now, in those kind of pauses, most people would fill that pause with because they're not okay with silence. But I'm okay with silence. I don't have a problem with pausing for 5 or 10 seconds while I'm speaking and doing that. And it's not even 5 seconds. It's even like when there's a 2 second, when there's a 1 second pause, people will do that. You don't need to just pause for 1 second. Be okay with that silence. I tried this on a few of my students, and I can't remember what the exact numbers were, but it was something like I was counting the number of ums one of them did in a question, and he ummed like it was like 7 or 8 ums or ers in a question. I told him this technique of just be okay with silence, just be absolutely okay with silence. The next question he ummed like 2 times. And he went from like 7 or 8 down to 2 just by thinking about this one thing. And then when we went further on in the mock interview, he started forgetting about these things again and the number went back up. But it's like, all you have to do is just be conscious of this. Because if you forget about it, you'll keep doing ums and ahs. But I really want you to try and just be conscious of this as much as you can throughout your life. Whenever you have to speak, be conscious of this little phrase here. Just remember me saying this to you. Be okay with silence. And this is going to help for your interviews. It's going to help for life in general. Because once you get okay with silence, conversations become so much easier. Your monologues become so much easier because you can just take that pause. You can take that break. And you can take that breather, which moves you on to the second part of this, which is breathe. A lot of people get all nervous and flustered with interviews and talking and that sort of thing because, again, they're trying to talk so quickly. They're trying to get everything across, like they don't want to stop for a second. They just go because they're afraid of silence and afraid of pausing and afraid of thinking about what they're going to say for a second, that they don't stop to breathe. And that's one of the key things that you can do is just breathe. Like you can see it in a lot of people when they're nervous and they're speaking. Their breaths are very shallow. Let me try and see if I can demonstrate this for you. That was a little pause there. Did you like going back to what I said? I think, what did I say? Let me see, and then I paused. If I can demonstrate. The word I was looking for was demonstrate. That word demonstrate, I hadn't worked out what word I was going to do. And then it came to me, demonstrate. That little 2-second pause, I paused. I didn't go, I didn't go, I just paused and thought about it. That's an example for you there. Okay. But a lot of people, they're speaking and they're like really up here and their breaths are like this and they're belly, they're not even stopping time to breathe. And obviously they're not going to be speaking that fast. It's difficult for me. I'm trying to demonstrate it to you, but it's difficult for me to do. But hopefully you can understand what I'm talking about. A lot of people, they speak and they don't pause at all. They don't leave time to breath. They're not okay with silence and they don't breathe. What you need to do is take full breaths throughout your, like at the end of the sentence, take full breaths. Let's do it now. Okay, let's take a full breath from your stomach. Okay, a lot of people like breathe really shallowly. Can I make this bigger? It's not really good. I can't really teach you how to do this right now, but effectively breathe from your stomach, not breathe from your chest. I'm not going to be able to teach it now, but I would recommend this book, because this book is going to explain how to breathe. Basically, deep breathing from your stomach, not from your chest. Okay. I'd recommend getting this video. Like, I'm just going to pause this video now. This isn't sponsored. NordVPN, no. This is a book called The Oxygen Advantage. This is literally a public service announcement right now. This book is to do with breathing, so it's going to explain what I did here about breathing from the stomach rather than breathing from your chest. It's going to explain that. But also, this is just like, everyone should get this, okay? Especially people with asthma. This is why this is a public service announcement that I'm literally interrupting this video for. I used to have asthma. Reading this book, like I've been hospitalized for it, inhalers, all this dumb stuff, right? I read this book, never had to use an inhaler again because of the strategies in this book. It sounds stupid, but literal public service announcement. The pharmaceutical industries aren't going to like me because it means I'm going to stop people using inhalers in medicine and all this sort of thing. But if you have asthma and you have an inhaler, order this book now. The Oxygen Advantage. Order it on Amazon. Read it. It could change your life. It's literally changed my life because it's cured me of asthma. Okay, let's... I just had to do that little plug there because that's literally a public service announcement. Anyone watching this video with asthma, The Oxygen Advantage, go and read it. It will change your life and it will get you off medication. End of. Okay. Pharmaceutical companies, come take me down. Let's do it. Right. So yeah, be okay with silence and breathe. Give yourself time to breathe. Take your time. Be okay. It's all linked together. If you're okay with silence, you're going to breathe more. And when you breathe in more, it's like you're silent. You're more okay with it. You're more comfortable. When you're more comfortable, you're relaxed. You're not panicking. Your speaking's getting better, so you're more okay. It's all just this self-perpetuating cycle that all starts with be okay with silence. Okay. Let's do it. Let's move on to the next point. Level up your status and confidence. Okay. So let's imagine two different scenarios. Let's say I get invited to speak in front of 342 people. Okay, 342 people. Specifically, not any other number, 342. And there's two different topics which I'm asked to talk about. Number one is degree apprenticeships. And number two is 19th century American history. Okay. Which one do you think I'm going to have better public speaking or better speaking skills in? Okay, about degree apprenticeships or about 19th century American history? Okay, the answer is I'd have better speaking skills in degree apprenticeships. Okay, so like you know that intuitively, right? I'd be better at speaking. My speaking skills would be better doing degree apprenticeships, and that's because speaking skills isn't just about speaking skills. Okay, obviously, like you want to improve your speaking skills, but it's also about the topic as well. Because I can have the best speaking skills in the world, but you put me in a room where I have to talk about 19th century American history, my speaking skills are going to absolute pot. Right? Because it's not what I'm confident in. Okay, and this is where leveling up your status and leveling up your confidence is going to help with these public speaking things. If you're doing something in a topic you're confident for, you're going to be better at speaking. If you're more prepared for it, you're going to be better at speaking. If you're more confident in yourself as a person, you're going to be better at speaking, which is why seems unrelated, but if you level up your status and confidence, it's going to be better. Okay, number one, go to the gym and eat clean. If you're confident in yourself as a person, for example, like you're in shape and you're more confident with your own like body image, for example, you're going to be better at speaking. Like that's a fact. If you're always self-conscious about how you look, for example, you're going to find it more difficult speaking and doing public speaking and being in conversation with people because you're more self-conscious. But when you have more confidence in yourself as a person, and like this is just first of all from the physical perspective, it's like when you're physically in shape, you feel good about yourself, you can be better at speaking. That's a fact. That's a fact. Okay? Number 2, become genuinely better at your chosen field. Like, as I said, if I'm better at talking about degree apprenticeships than 18th century, 19th century American history, then I'm going to be better at public speaking skills. So whatever you need to go and talk about, whatever it is, just get better at it. And if you're better at it, then you're going to be more confident. If you're more confident, you're less worrying about things, which means you can focus on the speaking, which means you're going to have better speaking skills. And where this becomes relevant to you guys for like interviews, presentations, things like that, it's just more preparation. You can go in and try and fluke an interview, but if you're going in and you haven't done the right preparation, you're trying to fluke an interview, chances are you're not going to be confident because you haven't done the preparation. So you're going in, you're not confident. Okay, you're not confident. That's going to reflect in your speaking skills. You're not going to come across confidently with your communication, with your speaking skills because you haven't prepared. Okay, compared to if you're fully prepared for the interview, it means you're going to be confident, which means your speaking skills are naturally going to be better. Naturally going to be better. So whatever you need to do, make sure you're doing the proper preparation. Like the proper preparation isn't just from the pure, like you think, okay, I'm going to prepare for interviews so that I know what to say. Okay, like I'm going to practice questions, I'm going to script my answers or whatever so that I know what to say. Yes, that's one aspect of it. But the second aspect is purely a confidence basis. Because if you're not prepared, then you're going to have less confidence, your communication is going to be worse. Okay, more preparation, whatever it is that you need to do. And the way you get, and another way of getting more preparation, so on top of just like preparing more, doing more research, and reminding yourself, is get more exposure to things. The more you do things, the better you're going to get. The more mock interviews you do, the better you're going to get the real interview. Not only from a perspective of if you do a mock interview with me, I'll help you make your answers better. Not even about that. Purely just on you doing interviews with me will expose you to how interviews operate. By the time you get to your real interview, it's the 30th time that you've been one-on-one with another person who's been asking you questions. Or the 10th time, or the 5th time, or even if it's the 2nd time, you're going to be more confident. Okay, the first ever degree apprenticeship assessment centre I had, it was accidentally for a level 4. Like my friend had sent me it, and he was like, "Yeah, Owen, apply to this." I applied to it, and I literally found out on the day on the assessment centre I'd accidentally applied to a level 4 apprenticeship. Okay, I did it, I got the job, but actually, what turned out good was the next day after this level 4, I had my Rolls Royce one, my Rolls Royce assessment centre for like a real degree apprenticeship, for like a level 6. I had Rolls Royce. So what it meant was Rolls Royce, which was the one I actually wanted, it would have been my first assessment centre, but I'd already, the day before, had practice, so it was actually my second assessment centre. So it meant I was more confident in Rolls Royce because I'd done that practice with that random level 4 apprenticeship I didn't care about. So when you do more exposure to things, you're doing practices, you're going to get better at it. So your presentation, go practice it 10 times. Your interviews, go and do a bunch of mock interviews. If you've got a speech, go practice it 100 times. Level up your status so you're more confident in yourself, and just level up your confidence by preparing and giving yourself more exposure. Build a story list or equivalent. This is a very good one for conversational situations. And it links back to that thing I was talking about earlier of like not knowing what to say in a conversation or have nothing to say in a conversation. And this one here is going to help you solve that one of having nothing to say or not having many things to say in a situation. Okay? Let me show you what I mean by build a story list. Essentially, if you're thinking like what I just said there, which is, okay, if I go into a conversation, I'm not going to know what to say, or I don't have anything to tell people, I don't have any stories to tell, I don't have anything interesting to say, which is a lot of people don't have anything interesting to say, right? What you can do is you can build a story list. And building a story list is basically a list of stories that you can then go and say. So now you have things to say. So you're thinking, okay, I don't have any good stories. Yes, you do. Okay, and this is like an actionable activity that you can do. And when I first learned about this, which would have been, let me see, do I have the date on here? No, I don't have the date on here. But this was something I learned about. It must have been like June or something like that. Right? Maybe May, April, May, June, something like that. Go through, like sit down, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and go through your whole life and think about all the different things you've done. and think about all the stories you have about stuff you've done in your life, right? Because you might not think of them straight away, but if you give yourself 30 minutes, 60 minutes to go think about this, you're going to have a whole bunch of stories which you can put together and put it into a story list. Okay, so let me just show you my story list. I'm going to keep it away from the camera because I don't want to like show any details. But like, I'll just scroll through it and show you, like, I have a whole list of stories stories that I could tell. Right, whole list of stories that I can tell if need be. So if I needed to have a conversation with someone and I needed things to say and I need to have a story, it's I'm not going to whip out my phone. I'm not saying in the middle of a conversation I'm going to whip out my phone. Hold on a sec, mate. Let me just double check my story. Oh, this one's a good one for this occasion. No. It's like, remember these, right? This is just a list for your records. But then remember these, and then it means you'll have these in your head. So when you're in a conversation, you need to whip out a story, you can pull out one of these stories. And it's like the kind of stories I'm talking to, like some ones I've got in here, like just sort of dumb stuff, right? It's like whatever stories you want. It's kind of dumb stuff you've done, right? Like getting locked in like a park, when we like snuck out of like a residential at like like that sort of stuff, right? There's some like hostage situation at Reading sort of thing. Like those are the kind of things that you have stories for. Go and write them on a story list, and that's going to help conversationally when you need to. Okay, now the context I'm talking now isn't specifically for degree apprenticeships. So for example, when you go to a networking event and you're talking to some of the assessors, you're not going to, have a look at your story list and be like, oh yeah, there's one story where we nearly got arrested by the police or something, right? You're not going to go and tell that story, right? This is more for like actual social interactions with other people. It's like, if you need good stories, that's what your story list, you'll have remembered them so you can use those stories. Like one story I have on here was one time when I went on stage with like Tom Grennan, for example. It's a long story, but basically I went, like, Tom Grennan's family was on stage and I went on stage as his family. Even I'm not related to Tom Grennan. He's like a singer. I don't know if any of you guys have heard him, but I managed to get on stage. It was supposed to be his family. I managed to get, like, whatever, right? Fine. Those are the kind of stories you can have on this story list. That's good for social occasions. Now, how is this relevant for degree apprenticeships? The point I'm trying to say is you need to prepare for conversations. Let me rephrase that. Actually, you don't need to prepare for conversations. For a lot of people, what I'm saying now is going to sound stupid. Like, it sounds stupid. It sounds dumb, right? And it's like, okay, fair enough, but you are however many minutes into a video on communication. So if you're watching this communication video, I'm guessing you struggle with communication. So most people who are watching this, maybe you agree with me, you're not the best with conversations, you don't know what things to say. That's why preparing for conversations is good. Okay, it sounds stupid, but it's like, if you're not good at conversations, you've got to prepare for them. It is what it is. So when you know there's going to be conversations, what you need to do is actually just prepare for them. Like, it's no one thinks about this because it's like, it just sounds kind of sad. Like, this sounds like a sad technique. Fine. If you think it's a sad technique, that's fine. You don't have to watch the video. You know what I mean? I'm not holding you against your will here or anything. But if you're not good at conversations, well, just prepare for conversations, right? How do you prepare for conversations? Well, just research things, okay? Or build a story list on your phone, okay? So I can give you an example. What I used to do, I don't really do this anymore because I don't care, but when, like, probably a year ago, 12, 13, 14 months ago sort of thing, I got the BBC Sport app on my phone. Like, I was going to uninstall it because I don't watch sports or anything, but I left it on my phone. And what I'd do is, if I knew I was going to go into a small talk conversation that day, which was like most days, I'd just check it for like 1 minute. Like, I'd just check BBC Sport. Okay, this was the football that happened yesterday. This is what happened. Just get the quick news. Okay, cool. I now have small talk. And that basically meant when I'd then be into the office and I have to do small talk, it's like, did you see the football thing? Like, all this sort of thing. Oh, you saw the football? Oh, yeah, that was tell me about that sort of thing, right? I can then do that small talk because I'm prepared for it. So if you have conversations, you have nothing to say, it's like because you haven't prepared. So go and prepare. Small talk, the easy way to prepare is download BBC Sport and just see what the football scores are, see what's been happening. Oh, this VAR thing happened. Oh, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo got transferred to flipping Saudi Arabia, right? Do you know what I mean, right? Go and research it. Okay, build a story list on your phone. Okay, and obviously keep it relevant to the context. As I said, when you're doing a networking event with your assessors, with your future employer, don't tell them some like story from your story list where you like got like chased by the police or something. Like, if you're going to use that example, keep that for when you're talking with your friends or like people your age, that sort of thing, right? Don't do that to your line manager, for example. But that's what I mean there. Okay, build a story list or something equivalent in terms of conversations. You can easily prepare for things. You can if you know, okay, I've got a networking event. Okay, prepare some things to say. Right, prepare like a story about how you first found finance and why you want to do a degree apprenticeship in it. Okay. Prepare a story through that happened in one of your work experiences. prepare a story that happened when you were doing it. Like just prepare some stories, get them ready. Okay, and when I say prepare, I'm not saying lie about, like, just don't lie about, because that's just a weird thing. Oh, you're making up stories. That's weird, right? But I'm saying actual stories that have happened to you. Just put them into a story list so you can remember them, because otherwise you'll forget. Like, there's so many stories on here which I could look. Let me actually look through these right now. Okay, and I will actually be surprised by some of these. Oh, okay, I forgot that. I did not. There's so many. I forgot that one. That was when nearly got shot in some like private woods thing. Yeah, I forgot. There's so many on here which I've forgotten, but now if I wanted to go in a conversation with people, I have so many stories to tell, and that's what people love, by the way. And that's why people just love stories. It's like a psychological thing. It's like storytelling, especially archetypal story. I'm getting into a different topic now, so I won't go into it. But people love stories, so if you can tell more stories, you'll be a better conversationalist. Okay. So it's like the step 2 was how to win friends and influence people, ask people questions. That's good. But also when you do need to speak, if you can tell stories to people, that'll really engage people and really entertain people. Okay, so build a story list. Cool. The next one is just quick fire tactics. So we've been through like the 6 sort of main points. Now I've got just basically this. I had more things to say. I had like 12 things to say, but I'd already thought of doing 7 because everyone loves the numbers. It's like, bro, ask people what's your favorite number between 1 and 10. Everyone says 7, right? I don't know. It's like some lucky magic number 7 or something like that. So I wanted to keep it at 7, but I have more. So instead of taking it to 11 or 12, I was like, you know what? Let's just put everything together in 7. So let's go through these. There's going to be some very good value in these last 7. Also, whenever you're speaking, always bring water. Always. Because it's like when you're speaking, and especially when you're speaking for a long time, your throat's going to get dry. You might start like coughing and stuff. You're going to mess up. It's just having that water is super useful for like being able to speak for a long period of time in terms of your throat. Also, it means if you do get nervous or you need to take a pause or you mess up something, you can just go and get this water. Okay. And it can be more natural. So it's if still you don't want to just like be silent for 5 or 10 seconds, you can just pick up this water. And it's a good way of, if you do get nervous, just like picking up your bottle, having a drink, it's going to help calm down the nerves. So always have a bottle with you. Okay. Let me hide these. Don't go like, that's not very well hidden, is it? But don't worry about those for a second. We'll get to it. Okay. Number 1, look at the camera as much as possible. I try and look at the camera as much as possible in my videos. Hopefully I've done it today. Maybe I've just been like, for example, okay, everyone loves looking at themselves, okay? You know why lifts have mirrors? Like, why does lift have mirrors? Supposedly the story goes, now this could be a lie, supposedly the story goes that engineers were looking at it and they were like, okay, it takes 2 minutes to, I don't know, let's say 2 minutes to do 100 floors. How could we make that faster? Okay, well, we could spend like £100 million on a new technology which is going to increase it by, like, decrease the time by 50%. Like, it's £100 million on a new technology to make it 1 minute instead of 2 minutes. And then someone was like, or we could just add mirrors. Right? And then if you add mirrors, it's like, okay, now everyone just loves staring at themselves in the mirror, so they couldn't care how long the lift goes up. They'd rather the lift goes up for longer. So that's supposedly, again, that whole story could be cap, but a lie. That whole story could be a lie. But like that's the theory behind it. It's like everyone loves looking at themselves. So what you'll find is when you're doing a video call where that's an interview, a lot of you guys, so calling you out here, you just stare at yourselves because you like looking at yourselves. Like if I didn't know this, I would just look at myself as well, sort of thing, right? But don't do that. Okay. Also, don't look at the other person on the screen. Don't look at the other person's eyes. Okay. Like let's say me here. So me right here. Let's say that's someone else, like I'm on a call with someone. I don't want to just look at my eyes. This is so weird. Because it's not actual eye contact, because I'm slightly looking down. It's a lot more engaging when I look at the camera like this, and you might find it. That's why in my videos, I try and look at you guys in the eyes like I'm doing here, looking at the camera. Okay, so don't look at you, don't look at them. Try and avoid looking at the content on the screen. Try and avoid looking at your notes. A key one is when you're thinking about things, a lot of people, like, it just naturally, your eyes sort of go up, and it's like up to the left or up to the right or something, because you're trying to think about something. Try and get into a habit of, even when you're thinking about something, your eyes are locked on that camera. And I'm decent at it now. Okay, I'm not going to say I'm the best in the world because I still film videos and I'm looking all over the place, but it's something I used to be shocking at. When I was first making my videos, I could not look at the camera at all. Like I'd look at it and then I'd forget about it and not like look to the side or something. Now I'm pretty decent at it, so it's going to come with practice. And just look at it as much as possible. You're not going to get to a stage where 100% it's impossible to get to a stage where 100% of the time you're looking at the camera. But can you get it to 75%? Can you get it to 90%? So that's good for when this is obviously for when you're speaking online. If you're in person, you're not looking at the camera, but when you're online, look into that camera, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's a whatever, look into that camera as much as possible, make the percentage, interview, whatever, make the percentage as high as possible. Okay. Number 2, speak to individuals when public speaking. Okay. A lot of people have a fear of public speaking. Goes back to what I said before, which was no one cares. No one cares about anything, so just remember that. That's the first thing there. But the second tactic here is speak to individuals. Say you're speaking to 30 people or you're speaking to 300 people. Don't speak to 300 people, don't speak to 30 people. Single people out from the crowd. So it's like, talk to this one person, talk to this one person, talk to this one person. Now, don't just stare at the same person the whole presentation, like just one person who's sitting in row 3 and just stare at them the whole time. That would be weird, and it'd be weird for everyone else. But it's like, go between people, single people out. So when I've done presentations to like 300 people, I've been speaking in front of them before, it's like, I sort of go between different people. Okay, I'm sort of going around, looking at people, making eye contact with people, and I'm speaking to the individual. Because most likely you're able to speak to individuals on your own. So just speak to individuals on their own. You're not speaking to 300 people, you're talking to one person at a time, sort of thing. Okay. I'm trying to think of a word again. And notice, again, zooming back to what I said, that's the time where I did the pause thing. I did the pause. I didn't go, no, I didn't. I just paused for 5-10 seconds trying to find the word. And the word, I've just found it, single out. Single out individuals from the crowd when you're public speaking and talk to just them. And it doesn't matter what the number is, 300, 1,000, 20, 3. Even if it's 3 people, you're speaking to one person at once. Again, and just to emphasize, that's not staring at one person the whole time for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40, like 10 minutes, 40 minutes straight. No, it's like every few seconds, every 10 seconds or so, maybe go to a different person. Okay, go around different people, but speak to individuals. It'll make you more comfortable. Next one, this is a huge one. This is a really good one. Make the other person feel comfortable. If you're nervous about going into a conversation with someone, and this was something for me, when I said earlier that I was scared about people going into coaching calls, this is when I discovered this tactic here. When I did these 7 ones I did for free, and I literally put this post-it note. Where would I either put it at the top of my laptop here, or I put it I think I might have put it at the bottom. So I put it just below here as a reminder, and I literally wrote on it, make the other person feel comfortable. If you're scared or worried, just make them feel comfortable, because they could be scared or worried too. So you want to just try and make them feel okay and make them feel comfortable. And it's like, I don't really need to explain the actions here. You're going to intrinsically know, if you're in a conversation with someone, how you can make them feel comfortable, make sure they're all right. I hope so anyway. Okay? And when you're so focused on them, you're looking at their social clues, social things they're doing. Maybe they look a bit flustered. Okay, try and make them okay. Okay, do you know what I mean? Right, look at them, look at their social cues, their body language, their facial expressions. Make them okay. Make them feel comfortable. Take the lead yourself and make them feel comfortable. And because your social clues are so focused on them, you're not conscious of yourself. Okay? And there's like a psychological thing, I don't remember exactly it's a psychological thing from Jordan Peterson, which is thinking about yourself and being depressed is the same thing. Like I don't know, it uses the same part of the brain or something. But it's not even just this, it's literally like it's the same thing. I know what it is. When they put like electrodes on people's heads and they look at the brain, it's like people think about themselves, or people are depressed, for example, the exact same brain regions come because light up, because it's the same thing. It's the same thought. It comes from the same place. Okay, if you're depressed, it's because you're thinking about yourself. Stop thinking about yourselves. Think about other people. Look at other people. So that's why this works so well from a psychological perspective. When you focus on someone else's social clues, you're no longer looking at yourself. You're no longer inside your own head thinking, oh, I'm so nervous, I'm so scared, what do I do? Da, da, da. Because you don't have enough brain space. You're thinking about the other person. You don't have time to think about yourself. So you forget yourself being self-conscious. You stop being depressed. You stop being anxious. You stop being worried, right? Focus on the other person. Make the other person feel comfortable. This is super good, especially if you have sort of social anxiety. Don't use a script. Use key points. One for communication in terms of interviews, speeches, presentations. If you use a script, it's going to sound super robotic. Super robotic. And you're not going to have the eye contact as well. So if I was using a script I could script out these whole videos word for word, but then it would be like, Look at the camera as much as possible. Speak to individuals when public speaking. Make the other person feel comfortable. Don't use a script, use key. Like I'd script out the whole thing, but that's the kind of delivery that would come across. I wouldn't be looking at the camera, so I wouldn't be engaging. And just the nature of reading words off a script, rather than, because at the moment I'm composing what I'm saying in my head. A couple of seconds before I say it, I'm composing it in my head. There's emotion there because it's from my head, so it's like there's tone and there's all this sorts of stuff to do with delivery. When you're just reading words off a script, they're not real words. It's you're not thinking about the meaning anymore. You're just reading. You're reading like pixels off a screen. You're reading these little ink strokes off a piece of paper. So the words aren't real. The words don't mean anything. They're not words. They're just letters. So that's like number one. Like the delivery's gonna be so much worse if you use a script. And number two is, it means when it goes wrong, it's going to go horribly wrong. If you rely on a script for your interviews, when they ask a different question that you haven't scripted, or maybe they ask a slightly different question, if you've only got the script and you can't answer interview questions normally because you've relied on the script so heavily, you're screwed. Because now they're going to ask you some question which you haven't got scripted for. Okay, what are you going to say? Oh, you're going to look around your script. Oh, I can't find it. What do I do? Okay, congrats. It's like, for example, when people are using a script, and it happens quite a lot, they lose their place in the script, and it's kind of awkward. Like, that is kind of awkward when you're reading off a script. You lose your place in the script, and you try and find it again, and it's not like you can start speaking without the script again because you have no idea what you were saying because you weren't saying it, you were just reciting it. Like, speaking isn't just the process of words coming out of your mouth. Speaking is an act of thinking. Like, you have to think, and then the words come out. Okay? Reciting is just, okay, there's some text, I'm going to recite the pixels it says there. Okay, but speaking is a thought process. Again, this is a psychological thing. I don't want to go into it in detail, but essentially, yeah, if it goes wrong, you lose your place in the script, you're going to have no idea what's going on, it's going to be super awkward. Don't rely on the script. If you need to, if you want to, because if you need to remember things, okay, just use the key points, so the key headings. Maybe there's 3 different key headings you want to go through, or maybe a key heading for each presentation slide. Sure, have those written down just as a reminder, but don't script out word for word. Those things you actually say needs to come from your brain. Trust me, the videos I make, they wouldn't be as, maybe they're not even engaging at all, right? Maybe there's no one watching left sort of thing, but they would be less engaging if it was word for word. Also, it would just take up so much time. Like, I make these presentations and I do it because I already know what I'm going to say because I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just like searching ChatGPT, right? But it would take up so much time to go and write a script as well. So don't use a script, use key points if needed, but mainly you want to be talking from your head. Just remember, speaking is a thought process that you then say out loud. Okay. Finally, read difficult fiction. Okay, this is something my English teacher taught me back in the day. Like, I'm saying that like I'm 70 years old and I have a back in the day. I mean like 2 or 3 years ago sort of thing. Which is, if you want to learn a foreign language, okay, and you want to become like really fluent at it, a really good way is to read fiction. Okay, because in fiction, just to clarify for anyone, fiction is stuff that's not real. So Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Alex Rider. Let me just show you. I have like a stack of books. Like, these are all like Alex Rider books or something that like hold up my microphone. Like, when we're not working with any professional setup here, it's literally just a stack of books that I have my microphone on. But that's what fiction is. Stuff that's not real. Harry Potter, Alex Rider, Lord of the Rings sort of thing. Non-fiction is real things. So like science books or history books or things that have actually happened, like about factual events, right? Okay. So the English teacher said, if you're trying to learn language and be really fluent, you want to read fiction books, because with fiction, that's where there's a narrator. So there's a narrator, right, of someone explaining what's happening. If it's a first-person book, it's the person in the first person explaining what happened. Like, that's what first person is. So it's a first-person narrator. They talk about their thoughts, and that's what's really good about books. That it's always difficult for movies. You know, when they do the book, film, movie adaptations, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Hunger Games, any book there. The thing I think they struggle with, and I don't know how I'd even tackle this myself, is they can only have spoken, their only dialogue really, unless you just narrate the whole thing, can be spoken dialogue. So how do you show the thoughts within a character's head? Because in a book, the narrator can explain the thoughts in the character's head, but in a film, you can't really explain the thoughts in the character's head. You either have to have a narrator, which a lot of films don't have, or You have to do it through emotions and acting, and that's very difficult. What happens if they have some specific thoughts? So that's why fiction books are good, because in fiction books you're going to get the inner thoughts of the narrator. Notice how I did that pause thing again, just to let you know. I didn't go, narrator. I paused, try to find the word. Oh, I found it, narrator, so I used it. Okay, so they have the thoughts of the narrator, which means you get to understand the thinking process. And if you understand the thinking process of another person, how other people think in a different language, that's how you become fluent. Because anyone can learn comment to like people saying things like, my mind's gone blank for a second on French. You can learn things like où habites-tu and, like, for example, ni de a hao shi chemin, that's Mandarin for you, like wo de a hao shi da ping pang qiu sort of thing, right? Ni hao ma. Like anyone can learn that, right? Okay. I'm just trying to flex off my language ability here. Can I think of anything else? Tu hablas inglés, right? Okay, there we go. Let's end the language part there. But anyone can say those random things. But to become fluent, you almost need to be able to think. Now, bear in mind, I'm not fluent in any language, so this is basically I'm basing this off what my English teacher said. But if you think like a native, you're gonna be able to speak like a native. Because as I said, like as I just said in the previous point, I didn't even realize there was this connection here. Speaking is not just saying words. Speaking is a thought process. You think about it and then you articulate it. Okay, I'm actually surprised that link. I'm happy with myself that I've made that link there. Just like that previous point where I said you can't use a script because you need to think about it, because speaking is thinking. It's the same with this. If you want to become fluent in a language, you need to be able to think in that language, because speaking is thinking. So you think in that language, you can speak in that language, okay? So that's why fiction's useful. Now, same as a language, this is just, if you read books, especially fiction books, especially difficult ones that are complicated, you're just going to increase your verbal comprehension and your verbal ability. And then eventually your speaking skills, okay? It's like, I could bet money right now that the IQ of children in the UK is going to plummet. Like if they do an IQ test of children in 2006 and then an IQ test of children who were born in 2020, let's say 2020, 2006 versus 2020, guaranteed the IQ plummets. I would bet money on that. Now, why is that? It's because if you're born in 2006, and to be honest, you could probably compare this to much earlier years. It's like 2005, 2004, 2003, all these sort of years. A lot of you guys read, like we read, like we used to read. I used to read, right? I used to read loads of books. Like I loved reading. And then it got to like year 9, year 10, year 11, year 12, where I stopped reading. And what replaced the reading? This replaced the reading. So I used to, like year 7, year 6, 7, and 8, year 5, year 6, 7, and 8. I used to stay up at night reading books. Year 9, 10, 11, and 12, I used to stay up at night on my phone watching YouTube. Okay? And what's actually like genuinely scary is like children who are born now, 2020, probably even 2016 afterwards, maybe 2015 afterwards, they're not even doing that book thing. Like a lot of us did that book thing at the start, then we stopped. They're not doing that book thing anymore because now they're 4 years old. Oh, hey, here's your iPad. Let's watch Baby Shark. And it's iPad. It's like you see the child at the restaurant who the parents are talking, they've just given the child an iPad. And it's like the child's in the car in the back seat and the child's on an iPad. And it's the child comes home and the child is at home and straight away he's given the iPad. They're not given the Lego to play with. They're not given the book to read. They're not given the jigsaw to do. They're not given the little game. They're not playing with their little brother. They're not going outside and playing in the garden. They're not going and riding around their bikes. They're not building dens and stuff. They're not going into the woods. They're on their iPads watching Baby Shark or other stuff. And when you're younger, your brain's more plastic. And what it means is when your brain's more plastic, how would I explain this? Like your brain can adapt to things very easily. Like your brain's very young, it's very malleable. So it will just change. So it's like, for example, a kitten, if you close a kitten's eye, like you sort of sew, this is an experiment they did, if they sew a kitten's eye together for 3 to 8 weeks, right? So it's like, you just close its eyelids for 3 to 8 weeks. When it opens it, when you unsew it and it can open it again, they're now blind in that eye. The reason they're blind in that eye is because their brain has realized, oh, we don't get any light from this eye, so let's just shut down our sensory vision from this eye. So you can make them blind that way. Because they haven't used their left eye becomes blind. Like, they're not actually, like, their eyes are perfectly fine, but their brain has literally shut down the ability to process their vision from their left eye. And it's the same with children with things like reading. It's like, if you, like, again, I don't have any science to back this up, but it's like, I can just see IQ scores are going to drop, SAT scores are going to drop, unless they like do some weird grade inflation thing, whatever, fine, right? But they're just going to drop. Because if you're not reading as a child, when like your brain is most valuable and you can change it, then your brain's not going to have those reading skills. It's like social skills. If you don't socialize, if you don't get children to socialize in their younger years, the social parts of their brain are not going to develop, and then they're not going to have good social skills. It's like why, for example, parents, there's this thing called like baby Mozart, which is why parents will get their children to listen to classical music when they're young to hopefully make their child a genius. Now, I have no idea if that's true or not, sort of thing. But it's like, with your children, you're going to want them to be reading, right? Okay, let's say your children, would you rather they are reading books until they're 12 years old, or they're on their little tablet, smartphone, TikTok device until 12 years old? Okay, if you got half a brain cell, you're telling me you want them to read. Okay, fair enough, right? So it's the same with you. That's what I'm trying to say. I know this is a very convoluted point. I've gone on a bit of a tangent because I'm kind of like passionate in this sort of thing, and I think this we're Generation Z, and most people who are watching this video, we're Generation Z. People after about 2016 are Generation Alpha, otherwise known as the iPad kids, because they all get given iPads. They don't read, they don't ride their bikes, they just get given iPads. Trust me, the IQ is going to be messed up. The average IQ is going to be shot. Okay? Anyway, my point is, read difficult fiction. If you're reading difficult fiction books, okay, then you're going to think, like, you're going to get used to thinking the way like the characters do, but you're also going to get used to understanding complex text. Okay, it's like when we were in year 7, 8, 9, 10 and that sort of thing, and we got given like Charles Dickens and William Shakespeare and stuff like that to read. It was all a load of rubbish, right? But it's like, because I've been reading difficult fiction, I would find it easier now reading Charles Dickens or William Shakespeare, and I'd probably enjoy it now. Because I understand it more, because I've developed my ability to read difficult fiction, and in turn it's developed my communication skills. So I'd really, really, really recommend reading difficult fiction, especially if you haven't read books in a while. So like me, up until about year 9, I was very big on books. And then the phone came in, and I didn't read books for about 3 or 4 years. Then at basically the end of year 13, and the past 2 years or so, past 1.5 years or so, I've been reading books, and that's helped develop my communication skills. So I'll give you some recommendations. For, what's his name? Fyodor, I don't know his first name, Dostoevsky. Okay, Dostoevsky has a book called Crime and Punishment. I'd strongly recommend reading this book. If I read this book in year 7, I think it might be a bit difficult to read, because it's a 19th century book set in Russia that's been translated from some Russian guy. It's a bit complicated to follow along, but it's like, if you read books like this and you get used to understanding it, your communication and your verbal comprehension is going to get better, because you can understand a complex text like this. Then your verbal comprehension is going to get better. Okay, Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment. I would strongly recommend this. Similarly, the next one I'm going to read, and I just haven't had a chance to start reading, I've been quite busy recently, is Demons. Another book by Dostoevsky, and I've just ordered another book by Dostoevsky and another book by Jordan Peterson. And this looks complicated. Okay? But reading this is going to improve my verbal comprehension. It's like, after this, I think I'm going to go and read some Charles Dickens. Now, you asked me this question in like year 9, and do you want to read Charles Dickens? I'd be like, absolutely no, that stuff's a whole load of rubbish, right? But it's like, now, because my verbal comprehension has got better, I'm now probably going to understand it more. Okay, so fiction's really good. The reason I focus on fiction is because, as I said earlier, with fiction you can understand let me just get this book out of the way. With fiction you can understand the thoughts of the characters, right? So that's just going to help you more in terms of expressing yourself, because when you need to express stuff about yourself, if you're used to thinking, as I said, thinking is like speaking is thinking. So if you get good at thinking, you will get good at speaking. So difficult fiction, but also if you want non-fiction as well. Okay, get back into the habit of reading. I think honestly more and more people are getting back into reading, because we all went through that phase of, okay, we stopped reading Harry Potter, we stopped reading this, like Percy Jackson, for example, right? We stopped reading that, we got addicted to our phones, but now it's like, let's try and sort out our lives. Let's get some healthy habits, let's get some good habits, let's start reading, let's uninstall the TikTok, let's sort our lives out. And that's going to help a lot. So final, okay. I just thought about this one. This video's gone all over the place, man. I'm just enjoying it, to be honest. Even if no one's watching, I'm enjoying this. So, you know, antibiotics, you get told to finish the course of antibiotics, right? Okay, because like if you don't finish the course, then it's more likely to get antibiotic resistant bacteria. I think that's like the theory of it. Do you know what the percentage of, you know what, actually let me get to that in a second. Let's say your dog, okay, you own a dog. You own a dog? Do you own dogs? I don't know. You have a dog, that's probably a better way. You have a dog, and you take it to the vet, it's poorly, it's something that's messed up, right? I don't know what the dogs have, flu, fever, I don't know, right? Let's just say the dog's ill, the dog's got a cold, I don't know, okay? The vet prescribes you an antibiotic, and it's a 2-week course. You need to give it to the dog once per day, 2-week course antibiotics. What percentage do you think it is that the owners, so you, successfully finish that course, you deliver all the medicine to your sick dog? What's the percentage? Have a think. What do you think it is? Give it a guess. Ding, right? The answer is 95%. 95% of owners will successfully complete the course and do it all properly for their dog, so the antibiotics all work. Okay, cool. 95%. Right? Now, let's say you get given an antibiotic course. You have 2 weeks of antibiotics. You have to do it a certain way, once a day, something like that, right? Do you know what the percentage of you completing the antibiotic course correctly is? It's 50%. So people are more likely to take care of their dog than they are to take care of themselves. Okay? Themselves. You're more likely to take care of your dog than take care of yourself. People care about other people more than they hate themselves. Now, this is something that's, like, again, another topic I'm not going to go into. Jordan Peterson has discussed, because like there's like a revenge, self-hatred thing. It's a psychology thing going on. But basically, treat yourself like you treat other people, because you probably treat other people better than you treat yourself. So if someone does something wrong or someone messes up, someone else, you probably forgive them, like who really cares? But if you do something wrong with yourself, you then punish yourself, you feel really guilty, you really bring yourself down when you do something wrong yourself. If someone else does something wrong, who really cares, right? But you really punish yourself. You're really hard on yourself. You go really difficult. I mean, I do anyway. If I do something, like if I mess up something, I'm super hard on myself, man. But it's like if someone else does the same thing, like who cares? Like, you're good, bro. I don't care. It's like tiny example. If someone's like late to a call, like they're like 5 minutes late to a call that they have with me that they've booked, it's like them. Okay, fine. You made a mistake. Who cares? I don't care. It's fine. But if myself, like I'm 5 minutes late to a call because I didn't do the right planning and I got lost track of time, I'm gonna be hard on myself. Like, that was, man, come on, you gotta be better than that. It was stupid, right? Because I'm more hard on myself than I am on other people. Now, take care of yourself like you take care of other people. What I want you to do is imagine, and I'm doing this with the difficult fiction one, because I want you to take care of yourself like you take care of your own son or your own daughter. Would you tell your own son or daughter to, okay, yeah, go read books, go develop your knowledge, or go and scroll on TikTok, go and scroll on Instagram? What would you tell your son or daughter? You'd tell them, go and read a book. Okay, and that's the final piece of advice that I want you to do when you're going through it, because I know it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work, exams, degree apprenticeships, life in general, staying consistent with things. But try and treat yourself like you would treat your son or daughter. Okay, if you're going to tell your son or daughter to get rid of TikTok, get rid of it yourself. Okay, if you're going to tell them to do a certain thing, oh, don't do this habit, start doing this habit, start going to the gym. If you're going to tell your son, yeah, son, go to the gym, you should go to the gym, you need to get in shape, treat yourself that way. Okay, I'm not very good at this because I haven't done it recently. I think I should get back in. Like, I did this habit for a bit and I stopped, and I'm going to start doing it again, which is just treat yourself like you treat your son or daughter. I might even have mentioned this in a different video that I did. I think I actually might have I did a productivity full guide 2 months ago. Similar video to this. It was a long full guide, but it was on productivity. Rather than on speaking skills, it was on productivity. I might even have mentioned the same thing. But just treat yourself like you'd treat your son or daughter. In terms of habits, working hard, all that sort of thing. Okay. Cool. So final action step for you now is to subscribe. Well, I mean, that's not actually the last action step. This is the last action step is, after this video now, go film a private debrief video. Okay, so remember that debrief video I said earlier? Where you get your phone and film a video, because you're talking to your camera, you're now going to get better at talking to the camera, you're going to get better at speaking, right? Answer the question, how much work have I done the past week? Okay, how much work have I done the past week? What have I done? Am I happy with it? What could I improve? What am I going to do next week? What's my plan for next week? Those sort of questions, just sort of a debrief, like a mission report, December 16th, 1991. If you get that reference, you're a legend. I've probably referenced that incorrectly, but if anyone gets that reference, put it in the comments, that'll be sick. I don't think anyone will, though. And do that. Okay, so film that debrief video, go on your camera, film that debrief video, and remember, it's okay to be silent. So if you're in the debrief video and you're thinking about things to say, don't worry, just pause, think about it. Okay, don't rush it in between your thoughts when you're articulating your sentence. Be okay with silence. You don't need to do that and stuff. It's just a private debrief video. You're not trying to impress anyone. Be okay with silence, and aim to look at the camera as much as possible. That's another one you can work on. Okay, so all of these 7 steps, go and work on them separately, but this is the final action step which you can do now. That's going to really help them. Okay. And also, like, just all of the ones I've done today are good, right? Like practice. Let me see if I can remember them. Practice, how to win friends and influence people, go and order that. Your environment, have a think about the content you're consuming. Number 4 is be okay with silence and also breathe as well. Get that book, The Auction Advantage. Number 5 is level up your status and level up your confidence. So it's like go to the gym. You know what? Do 10 press-ups now. Okay. I'm talking about going to the gym, leveling up your status, leveling up your confidence, getting in shape. Go do 10 press-ups right now. I'll do it with you. There we go. Okay. Number 5. Level up your status and your confidence. Get in shape, prepare more, expose yourself to difficult things. Number 6 was... I don't remember. Oh, build a story list. Go and build a story list for the situations that you need. And then number 7 was those bonus tactics there. Go and use those bonus tactics in your real life. Okay, that's the action step for you there. Film that debrief video. Thanks for watching. Now you actually can subscribe, so click that subscribe button if you like more videos like this. This is obviously a different video to what I normally do. Normally I do 10, 15, 20 minute, 25 minute videos covering things like the application process, very specific things. Today was more of a broad video in terms of speaking skills and communication. But I think it's good to cover things like these because they are super useful and I know people need help with them and that sort of thing. So thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. Did you enjoy this format? And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.